Oh, I think it's tremendous. I know that people are probably going to look at it and say, well, now they've got a serious surplus of point guards with Chauncey Billups in there and Mo Williams in there and now Chris Paul, but this is a different level guard right now. And I just think with the way he plays in the open floor, his ability to run pick and roll, make decisions, playing alongside Blake Griffin, and the fact that they can keep Eric Bledsoe, a very young, talented guard as well, didn't have to throw him into the deal. I think it's a great fit for the Clippers.
At number 13, the 2011-12 Los Angeles Clippers, Lob City. The Clippers were the joke of the NBA for most of their existence. Prior to the 2011-12 season, the Clippers posted just 6 winning seasons and 42 years of existence. Forever the forgotten little brother to one of the greatest franchises in sports, the Los Angeles Lakers. In 2000, Sports Illustrated named the Clippers the losingest team in sports history. It's amazing what a couple of fortunate bouncers in the draft lottery can do for a franchise. There were 2 big moves that sparked the best years in franchise history.
With the first pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
Hugs, kisses, a lot of love around. As expected, Blake Griffin, the all-galaxy, all-everything forward from the University of Oklahoma, goes number 1. 4th straight year Big 12 player was selected in the top 2.
The Clippers won the draft lottery in 2009 and drafted the franchise player they always needed. The Clippers got the first pick for only the 3rd time in their miserable history. The last time they had the number 1 selection was in 1998 when they drafted Michael Olowokandi, who was certainly one of the worst picks at that number 1 spot. And just when you thought things were looking up for the franchise, the so-called Clippers curse showed up again. Blake Griffin's rookie year was supposed to be during the 2009 season, but he suffered a broken kneecap in the final game of the 2009 preseason. It was initially thought that he would be able to come back sometime that season, but he made up for it during his new rookie year. Blake Griffin brought a buzz to the franchise that they had never seen. The early years of Blake Griffin was such an exciting ride for NBA fans. At any moment, he could break the internet.
It's a physical game.
Griffin's rookie year regular season highlights included a career-high 47 points and a 27-game consecutive double-double streak. Even though he gained a lot of experience from the sidelines for a year, he was still eligible for the Rookie of the Year award because he didn't play a single game in 2009-10. And he was the first unanimous winner since David Robinson. Another big move was to trade for the best point guard in the league.
I don't know, my agent was checking into a great trade, so
yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Dang, that's pretty cool.
No way. So who do you have to do?
Who wants a free Sharpie?
Yeah! Are you serious?
That'd be Lob City.
Oh my God. For who?
Lob City was born. All of a sudden, the Clippers had an even brighter future with the addition of Chris Paul. The tenacious, outspoken point guard was the player the franchise needed to break up their playoff drought. He propelled the franchise from a bottom feeder to a perennial playoff squad. Probably the best Clippers player ever. Paul's presence boosted the Clippers' credibility. The conductor of Lob City, the greatest era in Clippers history. The players who benefited mostly from CP3's passing were Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. Probably the most athletic big man duo you'll ever see. No pass was a bad pass for these two. This high-flying act was something you could witness on a nightly basis. Unlike Blake, Jordan needed to rely on other players to get his offense. Nobody dunked the ball more in the NBA than DeAndre Jordan, not even Blake Griffin. The Clippers GM Neil O'Shea does not get enough credit. He was one of the biggest reasons why the Clippers had their best run of success in franchise history. Not only did he make the Chris Paul trade happen, he also brought in players like Caron Butler, Chauncey Billups, KENYON Martin, and Nick Young. Unfortunately, this was the last year for Neil O'Shea with the Clippers. Fresh off a title-winning season with the Dallas Mavericks, Caron Butler brought a championship pedigree to this team. He was the steady veteran who brought the edge to the team that they needed. While he was past his prime, Butler still averaged double-digit points that year with 12 points a game. While he was never known as an elite defender during his career, he set the tone on defense, often guarding the opponent's best perimeter scorer. Chauncey Billups was the most underrated player on this team. His leadership and shot-making ability were so valuable for a team with limited playoff success. Even at the age of 35, Billups was probably the third most important player on the team. He and CP3 in the backcourt was a recipe for success. You basically had two coaches on the court. They both were good defenders and great playmakers with a very high basketball IQ. And both players were guys who would say what needed to be said in a time of need. Unfortunately, that backcourt duo only played around 20 games together during the lockout-shortened season. In February against the Orlando Magic, Billups went down with a non-contact injury. It was a devastating Achilles injury. A big blow to the Clippers' chances of playoff success. His clutch jump shooting and steady play was lost for the season. Losing Chauncey ended up putting a lot of pressure on Chris and Blake down the stretch. Players like Mo Williams and Randy Foye had to pick up the slack. Eric Bledsoe's minutes increased, with Billups sidelined for the rest of the season. A lot of people would call Bledsoe a mini LeBron because of his size and athleticism. Bledsoe has always been a good defensive player, and that was the case early in his career. He had a knack for collecting steals that started the fast break, and threw his fair share of alley-hoops to Blake and DeAndre that got the crowd off their feet. And Bledsoe was not a stranger to catching lobs himself in transition. The Clippers finished with their first winning season and made the playoffs for the first time since 2006, and they put two starters on the All-Star team for the first time in franchise history. Blake Griffin was the first player selected to the All-NBA second team since Elton Brand in 2006, and Chris Paul was their first All-NBA first team selection since Bob McAdoo in 1975, back when the Clippers were the Buffalo Braves. The Clippers matched up against the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round, and in Game 1, the Clippers were down by as many as 27 points, and then they would pull off one of the most amazing comebacks. They were led by CP3, Blake, Eric Bledsoe, Nick Young, and Reggie Evans. Every one of those players had a hand in making this unbelievable comeback. The Clippers outscored Memphis 35-13 in the fourth quarter and ended the game on a 28-3 run to take the first game of the series. The Clippers will go on and defeat the Grizzlies in 7 games, and this was the Clippers' first playoff series win since 1976. They couldn't celebrate too long as they had to face the San Antonio Spurs in the second round. San Antonio's experience and depth proved too much to overcome as they swept the Clippers to move to the Western Conference Finals. 3 of the Clippers' key players were playing through injury, which ended up being a growing theme throughout the Lob City era. Caron Butler played with a broken hand, CP3 played with a strained right hip, and Blake Griffin had a sprained right knee. The second round was the farthest the Clippers will ever get. Every time it seemed like the Clippers were going to make their first trip to the Western Conference Finals, something bad happened. Being up 3-1 against the Rockets in 2016, only to lose 3 straight games, Chris Paul committing big turnovers against OKC in 2014, which allowed the Thunder to steal a victory to go up 3-2, and of course numerous injuries to Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. Even though the Lob City Clippers were a failure overall, they made the franchise relevant and brought excitement to the game of basketball from 2011 to 2017.